Last one, folks. Last draft here at FTN Fantasy Best Ball Draft. Mike Randle with you, Best Ball Mania. And listen, the Jonathan Taylor news has dropped, so we have to adjust, and we've adjusted our process as well. Take a look at my list right there. We have Austin Eckler, Jalen Hurts. We picked from the 107. So we went Austin Eckler first, then Jalen Hurts, then Travis Etienne, Darren Waller, Tyler Lockett. And you know I love those early round wide receivers, but this time I've gone a bit in a different way. I think that losing Jonathan Taylor and losing some of those running backs early, I like securing early solid backs like Austin Eckler. I wanted to try that here at pick 7. We've done a ton of Amon-Ra St. Brown. We've grabbed some Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley in round 2, and then come right back on top of that and hammered wide receiver. In this case, I tried to get a stud at each position except for wide receiver. That's what I've done. Make sure you put your comments in there. I'm coming up the clock right now with my 6th round pick. We have 2 running backs, a quarterback in Hurts, a stud tight end in Darren Waller, and Tyler Lockett. So it looks like we're going to go for another wide receiver here. Could go for a running back as well. Let's see. I just think there are some solid wide receivers in this area, the Deontay Johnsons, Tyler Lockett, as you can see, that I think there's an argument to be made to go running back. Let's see. Jahan Dotson just went, one of my guys I really like. Let's take a look. See, a lot of wide receivers available here. George Pickens. Then I got Cortland Sutton later on. Javonte Williams is here, but I already went running back. We're going to end up taking George Pickens. I'm going to buy into the hype here with Pickens and grab him. So what I did in this situation is I said, look, instead of hammering those wide receivers, and I've talked about how you need 3 of them, what I've done is I've gone heavy running back, Austin Eckler, Travis Etienne. I want to get Tank Bigsby. What I will tell you is that if you end up taking handcuffing running backs, and Jeff Radcliffe has talked about this on FTN Fantasy, if you're going to grab handcuffs, you have to commit to the cuff. That's what he says, and I agree with it totally. I'm committing to the cuff here. I'm going to take Tank Bigsby earlier than is necessary to secure that. I also can grab Joshua Kelly late and give myself 2 solid backfields to draft, which means I can hammer wide receiver all the way through and just try to fill in with volume. In this format, don't forget that rushing touchdowns are 6, passing touchdowns are 4. That gives a little bit of an advantage to those people who are going to have your rushing quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, as you know, has gone 750 rushing yards basically each of the last 2 years. He's going to be in games this year, which I think are going to be more competitive than last year. You could approach 1,000 rushing yards with Jalen Hurts, and he's one of the most reliable guys at the goal line with that move, that pile thing that the Eagles like to do that people hate all over the place. So we see what's gone here so far. Let's take a look. Herbert went, Addison, Mike Evans, Trevor Lawrence. That's fine. I committed early to getting Jalen Hurts, so I don't have to worry about grabbing a quarterback here. Anthony Richardson, who is somebody I had been off of most of this offseason, now is a guy you may want to consider because when they get to the goal line, they're not giving it to Jonathan Taylor. They're probably not giving it to Deion Jackson a lot. You could argue that Anthony Richardson's stock has gone up now that Jonathan Taylor is going to be out for 4 games, which, of course, is very, very interesting. So looking here, coming around at our build, we end up having 2 running backs here as we're entering into, I believe it's round 7, Lockett, Pickens, and we got Darren Waller, which I love. The reason I took Waller is because I think that there's a ton of wide receivers you can get in this range that can pad. Remember, it's a best ball format. So having volume wide receivers, if you don't have a stud, sometimes can work. I've gone heavy 0 RB for a lot of this summer. Now I want to try something different because it's becoming clear who the lead running backs are. So this area, which is where I usually live with your Madisons, your Dobbins, your David Montgomery, those sort of players, I didn't want to be there this time. We have Eckler. We have Etienne. We got to see where Bigsby is. Bigsby's down there for a while, so we can wait on him a little bit. But we're looking at wide receivers. Cortland Sutton is available. Sky Moore is available, who I'm heavily invested in. And there are some other running back tandems as well that we can get. But I certainly don't need a quarterback because I have Hurts. I certainly do need a tight end because I have Darren Waller. So this is heavy wide receiver and possibly some running back area. We're up here in 2 picks. See, I look down at the running backs. I like Brian Robinson. He's available in a little bit. Cam Akers just went. Talk about team backfield drafting. Samaje P. Ryan's an option. There goes Pacheco. I'm wide open. What do I do here? I think I go Courtland Sutton. That's where I think I'm going. Give myself that wide receiver. So now looking at my lineup, we now have Lockett, Pickens, and Sutton. Folks, those are 3 solid wide receiver. Whether people want to admit it or not, those are solid guys. Pickens should be around a 70, maybe reception, 65, 70 with some solid touchdown equity possible. You have Tyler Lockett, who has beaten his ADP 5 straight years. Just incredible with Tyler Lockett and Smith and Jigba being out. You know it's going to be in a consolidated target share. And Courtland Sutton, who has now ascended to the clear wide receiver 1 in this Denver offense. So I like that. Probably looking here at a running back next because I have 3 wide receivers. I passed on Javonte Williams. That was the other option. He'll be gone by the time we come around, which is fine because I have Brian Robinson, who I like a lot. A.J. Dillon's a guy I like. And, of course, I have Tank Bigsby. So that's probably my question is, can I wait until round 9 to get Tank Bigsby to lock that up? There goes Javonte, no problem. And remember, I don't mind you reaching. You should get your guys at this point. We are a week away from the start of the season. You know exactly where you're going to go. Don't be afraid to reach if you have to reach. That's fine. Get your guys at this point. If you don't think your guy's going to be there, it doesn't matter what his ADP is. To quote The Rock, it doesn't matter what his ADP is. Make sure to get your guys. I'm up here in 2 picks. Sky Moore is still there. I would love it if he would make it through. He may not. If he doesn't, I'm probably going to pivot. Up next, are we going to get sniped on Sky Moore? That is the question. Are we getting sniped on Sky Moore? Because that's been our guy in this Kansas City attack. That would give us 4 actual wide receivers. He just took Sky Moore. Come on. He took Sky Moore. Okay, so we're going to pivot now. Let's go to running back. I will grab Brian Robinson, my guy. So Robinson now gives me the 3rd running back, and maybe that works out, and I'll get Bigsby on the way back, and then we will continue to pound the wide receivers. And that's the beauty. If you commit early to a quarterback or tight end, you basically are saying that they're going to score for you the majority of weeks. So you don't necessarily need to back them up quickly. I was in a high stakes super flex draft last night. 3 super flex, so it's 2 quarterbacks. I did not feel the need to take a 3rd quarterback. People were running and taking 3 quarterbacks in the first 6 rounds, in the first 7 rounds. Just craziness because I think you're drafting a player that is not going to play for you for most of the weeks. That's a mistake. You can get them late. I ended up taking an early quarterback with my first pick, which was Justin Herbert. And our passing touchdowns are worth 6 in that league, so it devalues the rusher a little bit. Even though Herbert should get us between 250 and 300 rushing yards. And we got Sam Howell late, which I love. Last pick in an 18-player draft, we ended up handcuffing with Jacoby Brissett just in case Sam Howell gets hurt. But I love that. So I don't feel the need to grab that tight end or grab that quarterback. We can wait. We can go with Desmond Ridder to back up Jalen Hurts. We can go with Jake Ferguson, who's available very late for Dallas to back up Waller. That's our guys. We're committing to it. So we're up in 7 picks here. Let's see what our build is. We have 1 quarterback, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and 1 tight end. I'll move the board up for us a little bit here just so you can see where we're going. Sky Moore getting sniping us hurts, but it is what it is. Listen, and the pivot there, and there's pivots. You could go to Marcus Valdes-Scantling because he seems to be wide open in 2 wide receiver. He's a major part of the 2 wide receiver sets, and he's the outside guy. So if Patrick Mahomes is going deep, I know MVS is who he is, and he's going to drop passes. He's not going to be a 60 reception guy, but he's another option for us if you don't get Sky Moore. Tank Bigsby is the choice here coming back around because if I secure that Jacksonville backfield and I end up having Austin Eckler and I can get Joshua Kelly late if I want, and I have Brian Robinson, that's enough. I don't need more running backs. You can see my team here from this position, from this 7th position, just go wide receiver all night long, round 10, 11, 12, 13. We can do it over and over again. I want Tank Bigsby here. That's the guy. We were sniped on Sky Moore. I hope we're not sniped here. That's the key. And that would give us the perfect build because we would end up having at this point Eckler ETN and Bigsby and Brian Robinson. And we're grabbing Joshua Kelly and we're set to go. And that's enough. We don't need more running backs. We can go with volume on wide receiver. We have a stud in Darren Waller. We have a stud in Jalen Hurts. We can be ready to roll here. That's our hope and that's our plan. There goes Treylon Burks. And we're coming up next. As long as Coco Palmer doesn't hurt us here, we should be fine. He has 3 running backs. I doubt he goes for Tank Bigsby. I really do. Allowing us to go for Tank on the clock. Coco, don't do it to me. Could it really get sniped on back-to-back picks with Sky Moore and Tank Bigsby? Is that possible? I guess it is, as we're almost in September. Tyler Boyd, perfect. There goes Bigsby. Fantastic. So now our build is 1 quarterback, 4 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a tight end. So it's very simple. It's wide receiver city here all night long for the next 3 picks. And what are we looking at? Well, players that could be available. Marvin Mims is certainly available because now we're hearing in the Adam Schefter podcast today that Jerry Jeudy could be out. He's speculating. It was not a report. Week 6, week 8, these hamstrings can linger. So Marvin Mims may get a lot of run here as a second-round pick for the Denver Broncos. That's Sean Payton made as soon as he took over as coach. He's a guy we're looking at. Valdez-Scantling's also an option there. I like KJ Osborne in Minnesota. We're already anointing Jordan Addison, who I get it. But let's take it easy with Jordan Addison as a rookie. Just because we like him doesn't mean in year 1 he's going to impact it as much as someone like KJ Osborne, who, by the way, had 60 receptions last year in this Minnesota offense. Jonathan Mingo's there, who I like. Jalen Hyatt, who has tremendous wheels. Jaden Reed. Those are the type of guys. And that is why I wanted to go with running backs early here, because I'm saying, that Jaden Reed later on, and I'm up in 3 picks, in comparison to a running back that late, like a Zamir White, there is no comparison. Njoku goes, Daniel Jones goes, Zay Jones goes, Freiermuth, up in 2 picks. Very Marvin Mims this area is a very Marvin Mims pick. Also, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is possible. There goes Deshaun Watson. We are up next. And listen, Marvin Mims is a rookie, but there's Rashee Rice, there's Marquez Valdez-Scantling, there's KJ Osborne. There's a lot of other options that we can go to there. And there we go. Marvin Mims, we will take. Fantastic. Should be set to go here for Jeudy. I love that. We'll come back around. So now we're looking good. We have the 1 quarterback. We have 4 running backs. We have 4 wide receivers and a tight end. An absolutely perfect build. That second tight end, if you take a tight end early, you take a Mark Andrews, you take Kelsey, of course, somebody like that early on, even a George Kittle, I am going to wait till the end to back them up and handcuff them with that second tight end, because more than likely that tight end is going to play for you most of the week. So you just don't need to spend an early round pick for that. Marvin Mims there. We're coming back around in round 11. So again, we're looking to hammer wide receivers. I have no concern with quarterback yet. If you're looking for a quarterback late, if you have not taken a quarterback early, Kenny Pickett is an excellent choice in my mind, because I'm buying in the Steelers offense. The offensive line is improved. There's a lot of weapons, and I know it's preseason, but sometimes, as we learned with Arian Foster years ago, the preseason actually gives us a window into what matters. And that, to me, looks to be the Steeler offense. I have no idea where they're underdogs to San Francisco in week 1. I think it's a terrible, terrible line. I already put it in our bet tracker here at FTN Bets. I love the Steelers. I got them, I think it was plus 2.5. It was at plus 3 when it opened to get that field goal hook. And on top of that, you can even go money line. So coming back around, there goes Dylan. There goes P. Ryan. There's a run on running backs here. We've gone, since my Marvin Mims pick, 3 running backs, a tight end, and a quarterback. Wide receiver's not even gone off the board yet. Why? Because they're looking at the draft list. Nico Collins, who's fine in Houston, he caught a touchdown last preseason game against the Saints. Jamison Williams is out for 7 weeks. He's a feast or famine guy. Geno Smith, as you see, this is not a wide receiver area. So what I love here is I'm able to get one of the wide receivers. Like, there goes Nico Collins, Allen Lazard, Jacoby Myers. No one is going down. People follow like Pavlov's dogs this draft list, and I think more than likely that can be a mistake. So plenty of wide receivers that I like here that can score. Very 6 receptions, 60 yards, 5 receptions, 65 yards type of guys here, but those guys end up being very valuable. And as we're coming up, there goes Rashad Penny. These are players I'm not interested in. Rashad Penny. How do you know Rashad Penny's going to be better than Kenny Gainwell? Don't like that at all. We got 4 wide receivers. I need more depth because remember, in Underdog Fantasy, you have to start 3. So we have 2 picks before us. There goes Jacoby Myers. Fine. Not interested in him. Jimmy G. No, thank you. I know he's a possession receiver. That's great. So there's Jamison Williams, Allen Lazard, Darnell Mooney, who's on the trading block from what we hear, Rashee Rice, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And then after that, we have Thielen and Mingo and guys that people are just afraid to go to, but they should not be. Round 11 here, looking very good, trying to pick up our 5th wide receiver. There goes another running back, Jerick McKinnon. This is sort of a very dead zone right now for running backs in this area. That's why I like the wide receiver, because I have Eckler. I have Brian Robinson, who I like. I have both Bigsby and ETN. And by the way, that is a consolidated running back depth chart in Jacksonville. One of the easiest ones to handcuff because they're both gang. There goes Mooney. Thank you very much. We'll take MVS, who is going to be a starter on that team. MVS there, second year of Patrick Mahomes. There's another wide receiver. So coming back around, I definitely do want another wide receiver. The tight ends is a very nebulous time. Juwan Johnson, but Jimmy Graham's there now. Gerald Everett, but I still like Donald Parham late. Luke Musgrave was always on the field, but he's still a rookie. Tyler Higbee, upside is limited, 60 yards a game. I get it. So what we're looking here is at wide receiver. Running backs that interest me. If you've waited on running back and you want to end up taking a Raheem Mostert and a Jeff Wilson, I have no problem with that. I just don't want to rely on that because, as you see, Devin Achane can go, so it could be a three-headed monster. That's why I don't know if you can pass up the opportunity to get an elite stud running back, which is what I got in Austin Eckler. I mean, 35 touchdowns, whatever it is, last 2 years. I mean, you can't beat that, and a huge reception guy. So sure, Joshua Kelly could be taken late, and I have no problem grabbing him late either, but I think when you get a chance to get that lead guy, I don't think you can pass up on it. And I love the Chargers, and I love their schedule as well. 15, 16, 17. There goes Jamal Williams, followed by Jameson Williams, Alan Lazard, Jared Goff, Van Jefferson. These are all players I am just not interested in right now. Love my MVS pick there. So we're looking here. Rashee Rice still available. KJ Osborne still available. I'm fine with those. Jonathan Mingo's a guy that I love. I probably can't get both there, which is frustrating. Mingo a starter, and DJ Chark injured. Also very interesting. See, I don't want to mess around with Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta's fine, but I think if Darren Waller stays healthy, he's top 3 tight end. You know it, and I know it, and I love it. So coming back here in 12, Sam Laporta went, and they left all these wide receivers for me. It's really unreal. Kadarius Toney, of course, could throw a monkey wrench into this whole process, but I think Marquez Valdes-Scantling is going to be the major receiver for this team. Elijah Mitchell up on the clock next. Rashee Rice is still there. And Osborne, who they take? Derek Carr. So I'm wide open. Let's see. We go Rashee Rice. Worried about him. KJ Osborne is solid. So then Jonathan Mingo. I'll take Mingo. I like Mingo. I'm taking Jonathan Mingo, the rookie. Fantastic. So now what we've put forth here is 6. We have Lockett, Pickens, Sutton, Mims, got the 2 Denver guys, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Jonathan Mingo, which is great. Quarterbacks available. Russell Wilson's going to be gone. Fine. Kenny Pickett's available. Sam Howell. Could grab a Sam Howell late. Let's just see what his buy. His buy is 15. Jalen Hurts is 10. So we just don't want to buy on 10. Pickett's buy is 6. Yeah, they're all fine there. That's fine. So looking at that, I mean, running backs were set. The only thing I really want, I mean, Kenny Gainwell's there, who I've grabbed a lot, but I don't need to. Once I invested in Austin Eckler early, that doesn't mean that I need Kenny Gainwell late. Jeff Wilson is still there, who I think is intriguing. I definitely want Ty Chandler, somebody I've targeted, and Joshua Kelly. So Joshua Kelly, I can really wait on. Yeah, I can wait a while for him. So the move is probably another wide receiver, to be honest. And people keep passing on Rashee Rice. He's just sitting there for me. KJ Osborne is sitting there for me. See if I can move this up. Move this up a little bit. There goes Thielen. See, people don't trust. There goes Gainwell. People only trust names that they see, that they know. They don't want to take a chance on a Jonathan Mingo, who's a super talented guy in a Carolina Panthers passing attack. There goes Osborne, my other choice, who you may not trust. However, he's a guy who could be their leading wide receiver when all is said and done. Thielen caught the touchdown, but Mingo is more athletic. Roshan Johnson goes. See, I like the wide receivers in this area. Mingo, Hyatt, all those things. Love it. So at this point, we have 1 quarterback, 4 running backs, 6 wide receivers, and a tight end. Drop it in the chat for me. Let me know your favorite tight end, late round tight end. Put that in the chat. Give me your favorite late round tight end. There goes Tajay Spears. Boy, nobody's looked better than Tajay Spears. The only question is Derrick Henry, but Tajay Spears has looked super impressive. There goes Dalton Schultz. Why would you take Dalton Schultz? Dalton Schultz does nothing to me here. There's no upside. It's just a limited player. Jonathan Mingo, I took in round 12, he could be the wide receiver 1 for Carolina. There's your upside. Why are you taking Dalton Schultz? I just don't get it. So we're up in 2 picks here. Rashee Rice is available. Jaden Reed is available, who I love. There goes Rice, which is fine. Jaden Reed's a guy I like also. Let's look at running backs. If there's Jeff Wilson's there, I can argue for Jeff Wilson. There goes Brock Purdy as well. Look at quarterbacks. Pickett, Howell. Wide receiver, Jaden Reed, Michael Gallup. Not in love with any of these guys. Tight end, is it time for now? It's not time for tight end. So the question is a quarterback. Do I take a backup quarterback? I'm going to grab Sam Howell here. I like Sam Howell. Even though I have Jalen Hurts, so it's 2 rushing quarterbacks, 2 quarterbacks that rush just on the bye week. And of course, if Hurts misses time or 2, I've got a guy with a big arm with who they're supporting. I mean, Jacoby Brissett is a backup. We know it at this point. Sam Howell is their guy, and he's a big rusher. And I think he can do fantastic things for Washington in week 1 against Arizona. So no problem. Let's see with our wide receiver depth. So we have 2, 4, 6, which is great. 6 wide receivers at this point going through round 13 is fantastic. I usually want to end with 8, so I don't mind going there to the quarterback. That's fine. So we're looking for running backs. Again, Joshua Kelly, and then maybe a tight end or 2. This has really worked out perfectly. The only one we got sniped on, there goes Jeff Wilson. The only one we got sniped on was Sky Moore, but we came back with MVS, which is totally fine. If Rashee Rice was there, I probably could have argued for that, but we're okay. Michael Gallup. Yeah, late round tight ends, Jake Ferguson is fantastic. Always a great pick, Jake Ferguson with Dallas. He uses Dak Prescott trusts his tight ends. And the other argument that I've heard over and over again, which is really fascinating, is Joe Burrow gets his tight ends paid. Think about CJ Uzoma. Think about Hayden Hurst. That was a nice little phrase that I heard, which I've stuck in my head this whole offseason. He gets his tight ends paid. And Irv Smith is there now, and Irv Smith is available very, very late. 3 picks coming back here. Glad I took Howell when I did. Jaden Reed is still available, so I didn't miss out on him. Devontae Parker is an option. Justin Ross made the team. It was great to see that. Running back, Samir White. No, none of these guys really do anything for me. Jerome Ford. I didn't even like Jerome Ford anymore. I'm more a Pierre Strong guy. Now they got Pierre Strong. I think he is the backup. Deion Jackson's not terrible either for 4 weeks, and there's Ty Chandler as well. I think we're going wide receiver. I think that's obvious here. So on the clock, Kenny Pickett went. It's fine. No problem. We're going with Howell. There goes Chig. So the question is Jaden Reed. Is Jaden Reed going to make it to me? If it is, I'm going to punch the trigger here because I think Jaden Reed can be fantastic for this team. Rashid Shaheed is there. Devontae Parker. Michael Wilson, who's a starter for sure for Arizona. It's just the question is their quarterback play. Clayton Tune, just questionable. There goes Cole Kmet. So the question is Jaden Reed as the 3rd option or Michael Wilson as the 2nd option. It's a little hard to pass up Michael Wilson, who's going to be starting in 2 wide receiver sets. So even though their quarterback is terrible, we'll take Michael Wilson. Mr. Wilson here is our 7th wide receiver. So now we're looking to add the running backs. Don't care about tight end yet. Still not worried about the backup because Waller is my guy. So running backs that we're looking at, Joshua Kelly, he should be the choice. Ty Chandler also there, Deion Jackson. Yeah, because if I end up having Joshua Kelly, which I think is a pretty much a certainty the way the draft is going right now, I have both Chargers running backs. I have both Jacksonville running backs, and I have a guy who I think has 3 down upside. Even though Antonio Gibson is there, Terry McLaurin's out. Don't be surprised to see Gibson and Robinson both playing at the same time. I love Brian Robinson. So that gives me 2-team backfield drafted and Brian Robinson and allows me just to flood the market here with these wide receivers. Dulcich goes, no interest. Matthew Stafford, please no. Jawan Johnson. I like Jawan Johnson. I was getting a lot of Jawan Johnson until I saw Jimmy Graham catch a touchdown. Jimmy Graham's going to be a nuisance. Is Jawan Johnson coming off the field for Jimmy Graham at the goal line? That would be excessively annoying, which is why taking that every down tight end like a Kelsey or a poor man's Darren Waller is great. I just don't want to take Kelsey in round 1. I have no problem with taking Kelsey in round 2. I don't want to take him in round 1. There goes Jaden Reed, which is fine. As much as I like Jaden Reed, he's the 3rd wide receiver on this team. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Aaron Jones going to get a lot of targets. I like Jaden Reed. I just don't know how high his ceiling is, which is why I took Wilson, because as much as Arizona stinks and as much as it's going to be Clayton Tune or Joshua Dobbs, Michael Wilson's going to be on the field. And I project Arizona to not be good, which means I project a lot of negative game scripts, which means you can't get that value in round 14 anywhere else. A wide receiver 2 on a team that's going to pass as much as Arizona. Gerald Everett, love Gerald Everett. Pour one out for Gerald Everett. I think Donald Parham's going to be an issue there as well. So coming back, Joshua Kelly, we could probably wait on him again. Wide receivers. Devontae Parker's a starter in New England, as much as we're not thrilled with the New England passing attack. Darius Slayton with the Giants, of course. Already have Waller there. Josh Palmer, Mechie, Robert Woods. Yeah, I think we need one more because we have 7 wide receivers at this point. I think we need one more, and that should be fine. Tight ends are going. There's Luke Musgrave, who's going to be on the field all the time. Irv Smith's coming up. Remember, Joe Burrow gets his tight ends paid. Don't forget that. Tyler Conklin's a great pick also. It's really worked out perfectly. So I'm trying to sprinkle in. I have my main guys now across the board. I'm trying to sprinkle in. Have my main quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Have a great backup in Sam Howell. Eckler, who I will pair with Kelly. Etienne, who's paired with Bigsby. And Brian Robinson. Solid running backs there. And then Lockett, high volume guy. George Pickens, dynamic player. Cortland Sutton should be the wide receiver 1. Marvin Mims should step in for Judy. MVS in a high-powered offense. That is a strategy that I wanted tonight. Maybe we don't get the Amon-Ra St. Browns. Maybe we don't double tap Amon-Ra and Amari Cooper like we can early on sometimes, and we have done in some other drafts. Maybe what we do in this situation is try to fill in the wide receivers later. Kendry Miller, Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn's flying up the draft boards. He has a little early for Deuce Vaughn. God. Chuba Hubbard is there for Carolina. It's the backup. Joshua Kelly's. I can wait on Joshua Kelly. I really can. Let's take Ty Chandler now. Ty Chandler is interesting because Dwayne McBride was cut today, which tells you 2 things. Number 1, they believe in Madison, but they also believe in Ty Chandler. And Alexander Madison in the NFL has not seen a workload that he's about to see. And he wasn't really that efficient last year at 3.7, I think, yards per carry per FTN data. So Ty Chandler is going to get looks. Alexander Madison is not getting the Dalvin Cook workload. I think they're going to split this up, which is why I grabbed Ty Chandler there. Like that pick. So my build right now, what I have is I have the 2 quarterbacks, Hurts and Howell. I have Eckler, 5 running backs. Eckler, Etienne with Bigsby, Ty Chandler, Brian Robinson, and then loaded at wide receiver 7, Lockett, Pickens, Sutton, Mims, MVS, Mingo, and Michael Wilson, and then just Darren Waller. So we're going in around 16. I definitely need a second tight end. That's the Tyler Conklin, Hunter Henry area. No problem. I definitely need one more wide receiver, and I want to get Joshua Kelly. So the only point I have here is how I can work this out. Who's my last wide receiver? When am I going to take Joshua Kelly? And who's my backup tight end? 3 very distinct things. And that's why I like doing these drafts. I'm glad you're joining me right now because you want a plan. You want to have a plan, at least some sort of positional plan when you get to certain parts of the draft. When I get to the end of this draft, I want my backup tight end. Sometimes I want my backup quarterback, which ends up being Desmond Ridder. And I want to look for a wide receiver value. That's what I'm looking for here. Joshua Kelly's probably going to be the pick. I don't want to mess around with that right now. Yeah, he's moving up, which is fine. Kelly would be the pick. There's a lot of rumors coming out about Sean Tucker in Tampa Bay. People watch out for him. He's also a late round pick. There goes Rashid Shaheed. Is there any major wide receiver? Darius Slayton. Is that worth passing up Joshua Kelly? I don't think so. Nope, not good. Bryce Young goes, I'm up. It's fine. We're taking Kelly. Let's just end the shenanigans here. There you go. So I have 2 picks left. That is going to be a wide receiver, and it is going to be a tight end. Wide receivers I like our CEO, Kevin Adams, of course, fantastic. He's busted me about being a boomer with Marvin Jones, but I think Marvin Jones is consistent in 3 wide receiver sets. Even when Jamison Williams comes back, Marvin Jones to me is a solid pick. Could argue for Josh Reynolds because I have a feeling when Williams comes back, it's going to be Josh Reynolds. It's not going to be Marvin Jones. Just my feeling. But I could go one way or another there in that Detroit offense. I'm glad I took Joshua Kelly because Jerome Ford went. Could have got sniped on that. So I need a tight end and a wide receiver to finish off a fantastic draft. One of my favorite ones here. Hunter Henry still there. Tyler Conklin still there. If they go, no problem with Cade Otton, who's starting tight end in Tampa Bay. I have no problem with Cade as an upside guy. Listen, at this point, you like I said with Michael Wilson, when I took Michael Wilson in round 14, you can't put a price on being on the field for a high amount of snaps right now. To me, Michael Wilson versus Jaden Reed, there is no competition because Jaden Reed is not passing Christian Watson. He's not passing Romeo Doubs. And Aaron Jones, as long as he's healthy, is certainly getting a ton of targets. So I think Jaden Reed has a limited upside. I don't think Michael Wilson does. That's why at this point, Cade Otton is definitely better than a Isaiah Likely and a Zach Ertz and Michael Mayer. I mean, I think he's a player that is much better. There goes Paris Campbell, no interest. DJ Chark, who's injured. He's dropping down a little bit, but a big play guy. I get it. Mike Gesicki, no interest. Adam Troutman is interesting because Adam Troutman is starting. I understand that he's more of a blocker, but he is a Sean Payton guy who brought in Troutman, who brought in Will Lutz. He brought in his guys. Let's move this up a little bit so you can see here. Deion Jackson going late. I have no problem with that, certainly. Evan Hull's also not a bad pick. Be careful with Evan Hull. He's a big producer at Northwestern there, Evan Hull, and he was impressive in that last preseason game. I should have had more exposure to him in DFS. We ended up having a great last Sunday, by the way, in the Saints versus the Texans game, but should have had more Evan Hull on the night before. Kyler Murray going. We're up in 4 picks. Could see a lot of tight ends going right now. Let's see who went. Taysom Hill went. Irv Smith went. Remember, Joe Burrow gets his tight ends paid. Don't forget about that. So Murray went on the clock. We got 3 picks here. Yeah, there goes the tight end. There goes Conklin. I like Conklin. I also like Hunter Henry, so I'm fine with Hunter Henry also. And if not, we'll just take someone else. That was a good pick. Conklin's a good pick because of Aaron Rodgers, because he did what he did with Robert Tonyan. You know, Tyler Conklin 2 years in a row ago at 60 receptions here, and now he has a massive quarterback upgrade. Don't see him getting less than 60 receptions. Don't really see that. Even with Garrett Wilson there, he had 60 receptions last year. So Conklin goes, we're up in 3 picks. There goes Josh Downs. No interested in Mr. Downs. He hurt me in preseason DFS, so I'm going to hold that vendetta against him. Couple picks left here. Yeah, I'm looking at Hunter Henry. If I can get, I'll take Hayden Hurst also. I'm just worried about it. Dawson Knox is still there, which is crazy. There goes Cedric Tillman. So I'm either getting Dawson Knox or Hunter Henry. You know, Dawson Knox, don't get caught up in what you think is going to happen. Try to focus on what the coach is going to do. They like Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid's going to be on the floor, but when he's going to be on the field. But when push comes to shove, Dawson Knox is still going to have a role. There goes Hunter Henry. So I'm up right now. That's no problem. I'll take Dawson Knox as my backup. So there goes Knox. That's fine. So I have Knox here, who also has a bye week 13, which is not great because I'm not going to have a tight end in week 13. But hopefully by that point, we've wrapped up the best ball win. So now coming back around here, Dawson Knox, wide receiver. I'd like to get one more wide receiver. Richie James is an interesting one because you could see injuries where Richie James moves up. Allen Robinson. Khalil Shakir has fallen down. He's the number 5. Josh Reynolds, my guy, is there. Josh Reynolds is going to be a starter. Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns last year. Before you, Josh Reynolds is a good choice. I think Josh Reynolds is my choice here late for wide receiver. Oh, there goes Josh Reynolds. See, people are listening to the stream. Ridiculous. Trent Sherfield, also an option in Buffalo. De'Ami Brown. We need a wide receiver here that can actually play. Darius Slayton is a guy who can catch one pass and he busts right into your lineup here on a weekly basis. So I think I'm pivoting now to maybe a Darius Slayton. Palmer goes. I think that's the move. I know Wan'Dale Robinson is back. So is Sterling Shepard. That's another guy maybe I can go for because Sterling Shepard is always involved and always gets open. He's had a myriad amount of injuries here. There goes Justin Ross, dynamic one. We got one more here. I could go for Sterling Shepard. They activate him from the PUP list, and he's like automatic for getting targets. I mean, Sterling Shepard probably has some of the highest target rates. I know Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be there, but Shepard is a veteran. Slayton there also. I'm up next. I think I like the big play of Slayton a little bit. They took Slayton. I've been sniped a lot here. Son of a gun. Bobby Trees. Wan'Dale Robinson. It could be Marvin time. Kevin Adams is going to be screaming at me right now. I can feel him all the way through the stream. Could be Marvin Jones time. It is Marvin Jones time. I'm taking him. That's fine. There we go. So we end up with our team, folks. 2 quarterbacks. Took Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round. Big upside. Remember, passing touchdowns in Underdog are 4. Throwing touchdowns or passing touchdowns are 6. Rushing touchdowns. Passing touchdowns are 4. Rushing touchdowns are 6. We have our running backs. We have 6 running backs. Eckler with Kelly, ETN with Bigsby, Brian Robinson, Ty Chandler across the board. Then wide receivers, I got 8. No problem. Lockett, Pickens, Sutton, Mims, MVS, Mingo, Wilson, and Jones. Not guys who are going to get us 150 yards necessarily, but guys who should give us solid production and keep our floor high because we did wait on wide receiver. So you have big play guys in MVS, Marvin Mims, and Michael Wilson, a big target. So they may not get peppered a lot early, but they give us that upside. And of course, we went for security Darren Waller to us can be a top 3 tight end who is drafted around tight end 5, tight end 6, and backed him up with Dawson Knox because we're going to rely on Waller, but Dawson Knox certainly could give us a couple weeks if Waller ends up being injured, missing a couple games there as well. There is the stream, folks. FTN Fantasy, FTN Daily, FTN Bets. We are rolling. Please come join us. Follow me on Twitter at Randall Rant. Follow the site here. We have the rankings out. Some of you are still drafting. I'm drafting tomorrow night again. Thank you for joining us. Our last best ball draft is in the books, folks. Let's get a couple to that big $1 million week like Kevin Adams did last year, folks. FTN, the only place to be here for best ball, fantasy football, FTN Bets, FTN Daily, your one-stop shop.